Well, happy Tuesday to you. Welcome to the Jim of All Trades channel. We're glad you're here. I'm Jim, and we'll be looking at Bitcoin and Litecoin today. And today we want to talk about the importance of RSI and how that helps us in gauging the end of potential wave moves and helps us understand when there's going to be a turn in the market, whether small or big. And we'll talk about those things. So stick around and learn those things because you can add them to your trading. I'll show you some key things to look for in the RSI. And we'll go from there. All right, just want to remind you that I am not your I'm not your financial advisor. I don't give financial advice. Though, I always find it funny that these disclaimers sound like we do give financial advice. We are not. We're just telling you how we trade, and then we're also telling you how we see the market, and you'll make your own financial decisions based upon that. Now, if you follow somebody else's financial decisions, that's a scary thing for you. You need to always do your own research, always make sure your own decisions before you put your own money at risk. You don't, never know who you're following. All right, with that being said, I'm glad you're here at the channel. We're looking at the BTC chart right now, the Bitcoin chart on Coinbase, and here's our basic count. This is our Elliott count. I am an Elliott wave trader. I say that most videos. You can look at those videos, find out what that means. But as we look at the Elliott waves, we see it. We've made a one wave. We've come down for two. And now we need a third wave here. And now this is looking so much more complete here. It's a better looking third wave here as with BTC's latest move. I'm kind of happy to see it. And so we did talk about the potential of this last wave coming up, and the reason we said that is because it wasn't looking complete. But sometimes the market will do that. It'll create an incomplete looking wave and it'll be done. So you always have to account for those both possibilities as well. You got to remember right now about this time in the market, a lot of a lot of sellers are taking profits right now, where we should expect a little bit of a downturn here before we head up here to the 6,000 to 6,500. That's what I'm expecting, but the market doesn't have to listen to me. But that's my overall bias. I think we're going to be from this point, even if we have another little bit of a leg up here to 67, when we'll look at that in a minute. But I'm thinking 67 might be the top. But we might have already hit the top, and I'll show you why in a minute as well when I talk about the two scenarios. But I think we're going to be coming down for a pullback. Now it's starting to look like 4,300 and 4,600 might be a pretty large pullback for this area, but that's certainly a potential. I want to keep that in mind. We also want to pull it up to here about 4,800 as might be a more reasonable pullback. We're going to have to watch and see how those waves play out. Once the first A and the B play out of this wave, we'll be able to project a really good a really good landing point here. So as soon as this starts pulling back for an A wave and then comes back up for a B wave, we'll be able to measure that and project a good landing point. So we'll do that as time progresses. So don't worry about that. We'll give you a good try to give you a good signal there as where we think the bottom's going to be. But what we want to learn today, so as we look here, we see our waves, they're playing out fine. We're in good shape, but we want to ask ourselves, okay, how can we know that things are playing out and they're getting exhausted and we're going to see a turn in the market? Well, here's what we need to do. We need to put an RSI on our chart. Now, some people love RSI. Some people decry it and say RSI is horrible and it's a bad tool. Listen, any indicator is as good as the one using it. What I have done is I have tweaked my settings for the RSI in such a way that I think it gives me the best signals, and I have studied the RSI for hours and hours, comparing it to price and looking for relationships between the RSI movement and price movement. And what I have found is that if you stick to a couple of rules with the RSI, you really will have good indication. So we're going to put the RSI on our chart. I'm not going to tell you my secret about the moving average on the RSI, but stick it on there. Put an RSI put a moving average on your chart, and you'll find out there's some really strong benefits to that. Okay, so what we have the RSI. I do have my settings set to 10 on the RSI. You set them to what you want to set them on. A common default is 14. I prefer 10 as the setting. I feel it gives me the best signals. Now, let's just take a peek at what's happened here. Let's go back. Let's go back to this first wave where Bitcoin was coming down and reaching a bottom and then turning back up. I want you to notice what happens here. So right here, this is the lowest point of the RSI in that area. What you'll notice is that this peak right here corresponds with this peak. Okay, so but we had more down to come. But watch what the RSI did. RSI stands for Relative Strength Indicator. What it means is it measures the strength of this movement of price comparative to the previous candles, the recent candles. Mine is set to 10, so it measures the last 10 candles. It says, okay, what's the strength of this candle comparatively, and it puts a dot on the chart, and then it creates a line with those dots. So what you see as the strength, this is strong strength, big strength, a lot of strength. How do you say that? This is strength. A large amount of strength. This is a strong move to the downside, and you can see it measured here by the RSI. There we go. That's how we're going to say it. But then you'll notice that this next push, you'll notice that it was slightly less strong. So, and then this third push was slightly less strong. And so what that is, so for some of you who've been around a while, you know what that's called. That's called divergence, okay? When you have price going down hard, but you have the strength of that move getting weaker and weaker. And so when you begin to see divergence, especially here, this is the 8-hour chart. When you see divergence on the large time frame, 8-hour, 4-hour, those are larger time frames, even the daily chart, even the weekly chart. But I'm in the 8-hour chart right now. You need to know that there is a strength is weakening in the direction that the market is going. That means there's going to be a reversal. And if it's on the larger, here's the rule of thumb, if it's on a larger time frame, it's going to be a larger time frame reversal. Now, if you're on a smaller time frame, say the 15-minute chart or the 30-minute chart, you're going to have that kind of a reversal, more of a 15-minute chart reversal. That means it's going to be smaller changes and trends. So we use the 15-minute chart and the 1-hour chart for more scalp trades. And I'll got a request to do a video on that. We will be doing a video on that in the future. So you'll notice that this thing came back up again, and it came down for one more push, and you have this divergence. Now this, I want to give you a definition of something I call, this is like a pocket of 3 all in the same area, but then this comes back into the purple average area, and then comes back down to the oversold area. This is oversold, this is overbought up here. So in this oversold region, so when it comes down a second time and gives you 2 mountain peaks, I call that widespread divergence. When you begin to see widespread divergence, you know you're looking for a large trend change, a large time frame trend change. So when we see widespread divergence like this, we know we're looking for a trend change on the larger time frame. That's critical. So what you'll find here is that this bottom peak correlates right here with this one, and as it goes up, it's going to reach a top here. It's going to reach the overbought area, the overbought. So it's being bought a lot more comparatively to the last 10 candles, and so it's reaching an exhaustion, so to speak, of buyers. And so this is a warning indicator that there's going to be a downturn. And sure enough, there was a downturn. Now, was there anything in the RSI that kind of told us that? Well, yeah, look here. See, this peak right here corresponds with this peak right here. Now, let me zoom in just a little bit, just so you can see this a little bit better. And you really need to pay attention to this part. This is critical as you learn to use the RSI. Really pay attention to what this indicator tells you. So you'll notice that this peak corresponds with this peak. And then we had a higher peak, right? And then we had a higher peak. So strength is going in the same direction with price. No problem so far. But you'll notice we had a down pull and then a push back up to the upside. And what you'll notice is that final push created a higher high in price, but it created a lower high in the RSI. So if we draw some lines to kind of show that, we've got price going up. We've got strength going down. That means the strength is getting weaker. That means the ability to push this price higher is getting weaker. That means we should be seeing a reversal. This is indeed a place where there was a reversal. This was actually the beginning of wave 2. And so if you would have seen this divergence, as soon as you would have seen this pullback on this next candle, you probably would have had a good signal to go ahead and sell, take your profits, and wait for this thing to ride down. And so that's the beginning lesson on how to look for divergence. Okay, so we're going to take those tools here, and you can go through. What you should do is back test. You should go through to all these ways and see if you can find the divergence. Was there any kind of clue on the 8-hour chart, on the 4-hour chart, on the 1-hour chart? Was there any kind of clue telling you that, hey, there's going to be a change in direction, a change in trend? Okay. Sorry about that. My phone is on. I need to kind of turn it off here. There we go. All right. Just to give you a little hint here. Here we have a downward moving price. But here, take a peek now. From the same peaks, we have an upward move and strength. That means we're going to have a change in trend, and that's exactly what we had. I'll give you one more hint because they're just jumping all out at me like crazy. This 8-hour chart is fantastic for seeing divergence. So we had an upward move in price, but we had a downward move in strength, so we had a change in direction. Okay, so that's what's going on. All right, so let's take that knowledge and let's just look at our current situation here. So we had a hot, really tall peak here. Man, it reached the 100 mark on the RSI. That is hugely oversold comparatively. Just like this, we had a downward move over here when we reached this area. We expected downward move, and certainly we got one. But notice that downward move in the RSI continued down all the way to this peak down here, right? But notice, so the top of this peak corresponds with the top of this peak, okay? So that means we've got a reduction in strength while price is making higher highs. What does that tell you? Well, this is all one kind of mountain peak, right? So this is all one set of mountains, and so that tells you that there is a divergence happening. But I want you to notice something. If this is one set of mountains, we had price come back down in here to the valley, into the safe zone here, in the average zone in the RSI, and now it's coming back up here. But look what it's doing. We're beginning to get a little bit of a reversal here. Make a peak kind of come up a little bit and make a little mountain. I'm not exactly sure, or it could just kind of come down and keep going. But what I'm seeing here is that we have widespread divergence now being formed. That's a Jim Pierce term. That's what I call it. You'll not find that anywhere else in any book. So that's just a Jim Pierce trading mechanism that I've noticed pattern. So that means. Here we've got the price going up while strength is reducing, and it's across mountain peaks here on the RSI. That means we have widespread divergence. We need to be looking in the next day or so for a dump, for a move to the downside strongly. Now, is it going to come immediately? Is it going to come? No, there's still a potential for an upward move. And the RSI will make a downward move most likely while that price is going up, and that's pretty interesting. But you know that price is fizzling out. So if we want to know when that move is going to happen, we can actually go into the lower time frames. So we've got divergence in the higher time frames. Let's go down the 1-hour chart in the lower time frame and see if we see any divergence there. And is there an indication there that's kind of telling us price is going down? You could still see the upward move in price here and the overall lower trend in strength from peak to peak. And so you can still see that divergence in the 1-hour chart. And so that's looking good. But what you can also see, now we're going to zoom in right here on this peak, just kind of see what we can see there. We had price come up. It made a top right here at this peak. It came back down, but look what happened. This is a little interesting. This is a different kind of divergence, but it's not much, but you can see it. What the RSI did is it actually made a taller peak while this made a shorter peak. And this is actually a different kind of divergence, okay? This is a different kind of divergence. When you have price that's making a lower peak here, while the RSI is making a higher peak, this is actually called hidden bearish divergence. This is hidden bearish divergence. Now, it's not super strong hidden bearish, but what hidden bearish divergence means is that as we made a lower peak, we need to expect a continuation of that lower downside. Now, this is hidden bearish on the 1 hour, so that means on the 1 hour chart we're expecting a downward push. Now, what does that mean from an Elliott wave perspective? Now, remember, I need to go back out to the 8 hour just to give you the sub count of what we're looking at. And we're almost done with this video. Hang in there, but this is actually this is a wealth of information. If for those of you that realize that if you start adding this to your trading, it's really going to make your entries powerful and your ability to predict what's coming powerful. And I'm giving it to you for free. So there you go. It's taken me years and studying and to get this information, and I'm just passing it on to you. Okay. All right. So here's the Elliott count here of the third wave. We've got one. We got the first wave. We got the second wave. I believe this is the third wave. Right here, that's finished the third. This came down for 4, and we've come up for 5. Okay, now, so what we need to be looking for is 5 completed waves in this 5th wave. I'm not sure we have it yet. So let's go down to the 1 hour chart, and let me show you why I don't think we have it. Though I do believe we're coming down for a little bit of a correction, but we're going to hit one more time to the high. But there's a potential we do have 5 waves. So I'm going to show you both potentials. This is I'm not trading these small waves, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm waiting for the high to come in. I'm waiting for a dip, and I'm waiting to buy once we dip. So I'm waiting to swing trade that. I've already taken profits here. I'm happy. You say, Jim, but you missed out on some profits. Yeah, I'm not going to hit all the profits. That's not what trading is about. Trading is about increasing your account size steadily. And making good decisions with your money along the way. So here we go. We've got a 1 wave there. This came down for 2. Now, here's the question. Where's the 3 wave? Is this the top of the 3 wave? That is certainly a potential top of a 3 wave. Then there's 4, and then we've come up for the 5th wave of the 5th. And so there could be, and that actually looks really phenomenal just from the division of it. That looks like completed 5 waves. That's a potential. But what if we have an extended 3rd wave here? And this is actually what's going on. We actually have 1, 2, all the way up here is 3. We're going to come down here for 4, and then we're going to come up here for 5. That's a potential I'm watching for. So we'll know how powerfully this thing moves down. How do we know if this count becomes invalidated? Well, listen, if this thing comes way down here past the 1 wave, so that's going to be the key right here. Here's our line from the 1 wave. If this correction comes past the 1 wave, this wave is complete. This wave was done. We're not going up for another high. But if it comes down here, stops and bounces back up and comes up for 5 waves, and it begins testing the high again, you can expect it to make a new high. I'm projecting around the $5,700 mark, is 57 to 58. I don't think it's going to hit 6,000 in this push. Really don't. That's my thinking. I could be completely wrong on that. All of this could be completely wrong, but I don't think so. Everything's telling me we're going down right now. We've got hidden bullish diversions within the overbought region. We need to make a correction. We need to come down, cool off this RSI on the 1 hour, and the 8 hour is telling us that we're in the beginnings of making this. Bearish divergence. This is regular bearish divergence right here. We need to see this thing turn after another 8 hour candle. We've got another 7 hours in this next candle, so I'm going to be looking over today and tonight and see what price begins doing, and we'll have a better idea as to where we're headed. All right, just to give you a quick update on Litecoin, we're still heading down. We're still heading down in that ABC. We're still looking good. We do have some divergence here. This is the 4 hour chart. I believe we have some divergence. Let me see if I forget. I study these charts before I start making the videos, and then I forget some of the things that I was looking at. So let me go down to the 1 hour and see where I saw that divergence. If I did see the divergence, I may not have. Yeah, we do have divergence right here. It's interesting. It's a little harder to see, but it's there. This is actually called. I know what I wanted to show you. I'm discombobulated right now. Let me back up here. You see this line that I drew here? This was my 1 wave. So this was a 1, 2, and then we came down for a 3, and this came up for a 4. Notice how this wave didn't retrace past the 1, and so I always draw lines. I tend to draw lines there on the 1 waves, so to mark 4 waves, because 4s often come back and retest the 1. So I'm expecting another 5 waves coming down. We do have some divergence here. I wanted to show that to you as well. You can see that this peak right here, which is associated with this peak, okay, this strength is going up, okay, while the price is kind of going down, okay. So when that's hidden bearish divergence. It's not strong hidden bearish divergence, but it's there. That's what that is. So that means we should be expecting a downward push, and it's already begun. It looks like we've got a 1-2 wave coming in, and it's forming a 3. We should expect this downward push, 5 waves coming down. So that's what we're looking for. I'm still targeting. I'm watching. First of all, my first target is going to be, and you can see my alarm set right here for 73.51. I'm looking at what happens to price when it comes back down here, and actually here the $72 mark, 72.50 into the $71 mark, this 1-to-1 ratio. Man, the price, I want to see what price is doing in here before I make a decision in a final call where this bottom is going to be. So this is where I'm targeting. At the end of the day, we might be looking at, if Bitcoin takes a steep dive, we're looking at 63 and maybe even a little bit lower than that. All right, well, that gives you some ideas on what we're looking at. We will bring another video to you tomorrow. We won't leave you hanging. Every day we'll bring them faithfully. If you'll just smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, hit the notification bell, do everything that YouTube likes, and let's just get these videos out there if they're helpful to you. Let's get this content out to other people, giving it free of charge, and this is fantastic, very valuable advice that people actually spend money on courses to learn. So I hope this is helping. You guys have a fantastic Tuesday, and we'll talk to you soon.